Alright, so we'll get started. You could just draw a regular square or rectangle if you'd like, but today I'm going to draw a little bit of a blobby shape, kind of a loopy, wavy, circular shape. Not too huge, just kind of a nice shape. And inside we're going to draw a bunch of fishies. So you're going to start with the tail. It's kind of like a little three that's kind of pinched together. And then off of that you're going to go one line at the top, out to its kind of nose area, and then back down. So make sure those are arched. You can make them as arched as you'd like. And then we're going to draw some stripes and a eyeball. So we're going to draw these different shapes, different sizes, these fishies in different sizes. You can make them in different directions. You can make them really, really fat. You can make them really thin. You can make them long. Whatever it is that you want to do. We're just going to fill the entire section with these little fishies. So when you fill the entire section with as many whole fish as you can get, you're going to want to draw these little like half fishies or parts of fishies that kind of stick off the edge here. And you can have just little pieces in any direction. You can draw little tails that you sort of see part of a fish that goes off the section, little head, whatever it is that you want. And just fill kind of these empty spaces with something that's in there. So then when you get it to where you kind of like it, you're just going to go ahead and fill in the background. You can use either a black Sharpie if that's what you have, or marker of some kind. I'm going to use a blue one because my kids happen to have theirs sitting on the table, so I'm going to make it a kind of a dark blue color. But again, you can use whatever you want to color it in. You could do gray, you could have little waves, whatever you want to fill it in with. So something just like that. Looks like a little cute pond happy fish. So we'll go on to the second one, and this is, I'm just going to draw a box for this one. I'm going to switch back to my little Sharpie. Alright, so we'll go over on to the second pattern. I'm going to draw a rectangle for this one. You can draw whatever you'd like, a blobby shape or a square or, I don't know, whatever you want. So after you have this section drawn out, you're going to divide it into different sections. So you kind of draw I'm going to draw them angled, but you can draw them straight if you like. But it's going to be two sets of kind of close parallel lines. And then I'm going to do another one that's a little slightly different angle over on the side here. Again, you can divide this into as many sections as you want, or no sections at all, it's up to you. We're going to do a herringbone pattern. So at the very top, whatever section you want to start in, draw a little bit of an angled line at the top, not very thick, just a little angled line. And then you're going to draw another line in the opposite direction that hits the end of that, kind of make it look like the letter Y. It's going to have a little bit of a tail on it. And then you're going to go back to the left and draw another line that crosses that point. Whatever distance you have on that little tail, you want that to be the same on the other tail. So you're basically going to keep drawing lines that have little tails, alternating which side you come from. And you want to cross the end of that first line, or you want to touch the end of that first line, or the line before it every single time. Sorry, I'm trying to draw and talk at the same time. It's not working very well. So if you can't get, that one kind of there was a little bit wobbly, so if you can't get a good line, you can certainly just go ahead and turn your paper. It's drawing towards myself is a little bit easier with longer lines, so you can do it however you like. You're just going to keep going throughout the entire section. My lines are straight on this one. I'll show you one a little bit later that has some arched lines, so you could do it either way. So now I'm down to my last one. I'm just going to have these other pieces kind of die off into this bottom line. So you're just going to see the same, like the pattern kind of continues off behind the line there, but you're just going to draw some angled lines, just straight down. So now I'm going to flip my paper over. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other sections, but in a different direction. So you start out with your little angled line, draw the little Y with the tail line, and then keep going from there. It is easy to get confused, but just kind of make sure you keep crossing that point there. Just like that. So now on the other side, I'm going to do it in the same direction. You can actually change up the direction if you want. I'm just going to do it from the same side. I'm going to kind of offset a little bit to make kind of seem like the center line, like it continues beyond there. So I'm going to draw my same little line, a little Y with the tail, and keep going from there. I'm going to make these a little bit bigger. So again, you can make them as tight or as wide apart as you'd like. It doesn't really matter. You can make some that start skinny at the top and gradually get larger as they go towards the bottom, so you can change it up how you want to draw this pattern. Looks kind of neat, like braided hair maybe. So I'm going to show you how to draw the arched lines. I'm just going to draw another rectangle here. Again, you can do whatever shape. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to, but you can give it a try. I'm going to do kind of a wonky shape instead, actually, because the Zentangle sections that you fill are not going to be completely square. So I'm going to start in the corner, but the concept is the same. So all these lines line up exactly the same way. They're just going to be arched. So you kind of start at the top and then arch down, or start at the bottom and arch up. It's hard to tell it a little bit, but once it starts getting larger, then you can start to see that they're arched. Now I'm just going to draw some arch lines to kind of finish off this side here. And I'll draw some on this side as well. It's kind of a large section to just keep going with these arch lines all the way off. So I think I'm going to go a little bit further, and then I'll draw another one going from the other direction to kind of die off into this one. So I think I'm going to, yeah, I'll switch it now. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go from the other corner and do the arch lines as well. I'm confusing myself here, hold on. There we go. Oops. So you just kind of, again, treat the line on the left like it's going to be kind of the end of the section. You just draw your lines until you get filled up, until you have filled up the section. So now we're going to go on to the last one. It's kind of a border. You're going to start with a zigzag line. You don't want little zigzags, you want big ones. So kind of make a hump here. They should be straight and just, you know, arched in different directions, different angles, different heights, whatever it is that you want, all the way across the section, just like that. So you're going to start at the point of one section and you're going to draw your line straight across, but you're going to step in a little bit. So it's not from point to point, it's from point to just in a little bit from the point. So then you go down to the next section, you're going to do the same thing. So on this point, you're going to draw it just shy of the other point there. And then we're going to go to this point here. So you have to do each point. And then come in a little bit. Both sides, so like that's that. This just if you follow your jagged line, you won't miss one. Some of these get a little skinny, so just do your, do what you think looks good. Actually, it kind of looks like these are all going to sort of line up in a little line here. Maybe I should have made them a little bit more different in this, a little different in this section, but I don't know, still look cool. I'm going to draw one more here on the end because I need something to die that off into. I should have ended the other one. But when you get to the end, it's just going to go from point to point. So you're not going to have that little step in. You're just going to draw it straight across from the point to the point, just like you did in the beginning. So now you're going to go back in each section and you're going to draw these little arch lines from point to point, and then from the next point to the next point, and the next point to the next point. So they're not straight across. You can do it that way if you'd like, but they're not straight across. Here, I'll draw a little bit bigger one. So it's going to be arched. You can make it as crazy of an arch as you'd like. These are a little bit exaggerated so you can see it for the video. But you can draw them as arched as you'd like. You don't have to have them be skinny. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. So you're going to do that in every section, all three sides of each triangle. So now that you have the triangles filled in each, or the arches filled in each triangle, you're going to go back and you're going to put a circle. And it should be touching all three of the arched lines. So this point, and this point, it should touch all those. If it happens to be a little bit more of an oval, that's okay. It doesn't have to be a perfect sphere or anything. Just going to do that all the way across. Some might be bigger than others, obviously, but you want to make sure that you get some kind of a circle in there. I wouldn't make it too severe of an oval, like that one there was, the one before was kind of pointy. I wouldn't make it too severe of an oval. I would just put the circle or the oval kind of in the bottom corner. Alright, so now we're going to go back and we're going to color in the little sections inside or that kind of surround the circle. You don't want to color in the edge arch sections, you just want to color in that very center, those little teeny points that come off each side of the circle. So you can leave your pattern just like this if that's how you like it. I'm going to add a little bit of shading to kind of show you how to do that. So I'm going to hold my pencil kind of in the middle or down at the end, and just on the lines where it separates the triangles is where I'm going to add the shading. You can go all the way around the shape if you'd like. But you kind of start with a darker line right on the black Sharpie line that you drew, and then as you go in towards the center circle, you're just going to lift your pencil so it's barely touching the paper. So you're going to start a little darker, and sometimes it's better to actually start lighter and then just apply a little bit more pencil over the top of what you've already drawn, kind of in the center. But down on that line is where it's going to be the darkest, and then as it goes up, it's going to be a little bit lighter. So if you move your hand closer to the tip of the pencil, it's going to make a more defined or darker line. If you put your hand towards the back of the pencil, it's going to give you a really light line. So that kind of helps you control how much pencil you apply to the shading area. Again, this is optional, but it's kind of fun, so you might want to give it a try. Okay, so I'm going to go back now and I'm going to put a little bit of a shadow around each sphere. Again, this is optional. The circles are a little bit harder because you actually have to put the shadow all the way around the shape. So you're just going to start again with a very light hand. You just kind of draw. The bigger circle's a little bit harder because you can't go in one continuous loop. Just kind of add a little bit of shading around the very outside edge. And then as you come to the center of the circle, you're going to have barely any pencil there. It should be very, very light. And it's hard to see on the video, but the outside edge is a little bit darker than the inside. Again, this is not something, you can make this really, really dark around the outside edge and maybe add a little bit more here. Something like that. So, and you can do that same thing on all of them. The little ones don't really give you a lot of room to work, but you get the same idea. It's the same concept. sometimes as you're shading, especially when you're doing this kind of a thing where it's over and over and over, you kind of get lost in what you're doing, and you're just kind of going around the circle, and then all of a sudden you get to the center and you're like, oh boy, too heavy, too much pencil, too much graphite there. If you just turn your pencil over and dab it down, don't actually rub, just dab it down, it will actually lift some of the graphite off of the very center. So again, don't rub it because that might smear or tear your paper. Just sort of dab it right in the center and it will lift some of that off. Alright, so there we have our 3 patterns for today. I hope they were fun, you found them enjoyable and certainly calming. So we'll be back again next week with another video for Zen Doodle class number 8. Have a great day!